I'm going to make some apple turnovers. If you use the Cuisine.ws, it's easier to make your crust. You have 2 cups of flour. This is the crust now. 1 teaspoon of salt. And 2/3 cup of Crisco. Put it all in your processor. And then just let it go pulse a couple of times. Stop and start until it looks like peas, little piece of pea in there. See how it's getting? Now I have 5 tablespoons of cold milk. I'm going to pour it in slowly. And there's your crust. It's done. These are the apples we're going to use for the turnover. Now these are red delicious apples. I already sliced them, and I put in 2 tablespoons of tapioca, and you got to let it sit for 5 minutes. And I put about 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon and just a dash of ground nutmeg. So I let it sit for about 5 minutes, then we'll start rolling the dough and making our turnovers. I cut the dough. This is half of the dough that we did in the Cuisine.ws. Put a little flour on the bottom. And I flatten it out like this a little bit. And I put another piece of wax paper on the bottom, wax paper on top. And then we roll it out. I turn it over because the other side's all wrinkled. I just pick the top part up and continue rolling. Now what I do is, this is ready. I'll pick this up, put it down, turn it over, and pick this up. The reason I do that is when you make your turnovers, they stick to the paper and it's hard to come off. Then I get a bowl. I don't know how many inches this is, but whatever you want to use for a bowl. We'll put the bowl on top of the dough, and we cut it all the way around. Lift the bowl up. And then you stuff it with your apples. I'll take and put it over here and you can see it better. Right here. I don't put too many because then it's hard to turn over. I just put a little bit of butter on, just a little bit of butter on. Then we fold it over, press it down, and then with the fork, whoops, and I get a little pinch on the top like this, and that's ready to put in the pan. Before you seal them, I forgot to tell you, I put a little bit of water on here, this way to make it stick. Just not too much, just a little bit, and then fold it over. And you press it down, then you use the fork. Then we place them on the pan, and you bake them at 375-degree oven for 20 to 25 minutes, till they're lightly browned. when we take them out, we put a little glaze on. Then I'll show you how to make the glaze after. This is the glaze we're going to use for the turnovers. There's a quarter of a cup of powdered sugar and a teaspoon of butter or margarine. You mix the two together. Then I put a little bit of milk in. You want it a little softer than a cake frosting. And just a drop of vanilla. Stir it all up. That's what we want, a little more liquidy because we're going to brush it onto the turnovers. We just took them out of the oven. They're still hot. So then we brush them with a little bit of this icing that we just made. Now, while it's hot, it spreads better, so you can brush it on easier. Now you can freeze these, let them cool off, and you can freeze them. And this is the same crust for a pie, and the filling the same thing. You can make either the turnovers or a pie.